Hey, what's up guys, and welcome to #Askalobbyist. On this channel you can ask me or one of my guests anything you ever wanted to know about lobbying. Just use the hashtag or send me your questions by email or any of the social media, and I assure you we'll try and cover it in at least one of the episodes. Thank you for watching, please leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Thanks.
Don't.
I have invited a very interesting guest, Wytze Russchen. He's a Dutch top lobbyist, has done pretty much everything there is to do. He's written a very good book about it. It's called The Fixer. And maybe I'll let Wytze explain a little bit about the book and about himself.
Yeah, thank you, Patrick. Thank you for inviting me. I was a lobbyist for more than 20 years in Brussels. And I wrote a book about those 20 years, in fact, because I think there are not so many, let's say, funny books about Europe, because Europe is always a bit treated or seen as something boring, and bureaucratic. And I think this is a book, let's say, that gives you a glimpse behind the scenes of Brussels and Europe in a more human, some people say sex, drugs and rock and roll. But let's say the other side of the boring ivory towers.
What made you decide to write the book the way you did? I mean, I've seen many books, most of them are boring, technical. What made you decide to make it into a sort of a narrative, like a funny story about things you've experienced?
Well, as you say, it's one of the few funny books about Europe, and yeah. I hope people will appreciate that.
And I think it's very important that extend that online by talking about our profession in a very open and transparent way.
Well, that's what I appreciate a lot about your initiative, to demystify the cliches about lobbying.
Yes, I agree. There's a big stigma about our profession. And when we asked people for questions, we received a few. And the first question we got was exactly this. It says, how do you succeed so well in giving your very useful profession such a rubbish reputation?
What do you mean?
I am assuming it has to do with the fact that we are doing this podcast and the fact that by doing it, we're giving our profession a bad reputation. And I think we're doing quite the opposite. I think our profession has a bad reputation because it's kind of behind closed doors, it's misunderstood, it's seen as a bit elitist, and I don't believe it's the case. I think that's why we're doing this.
Well, I fully agree. This is a good example of what Europe always calls transparency, where, let's say, giving the people a glimpse behind the scenes. Then they can see that it's not about backdoors and secrets and envelopes going under the counter.
What?
Maybe in the old days, but that's not possible anymore. But the strange thing is the paradox about the more transparency there is, the more rules we have. But even with that, the trust is not going up. So there's a kind of paradox. The more you do to make it more democratic, if I may say, the less public support we get. So that is a bit strange. The problem is, I think, that people have the feeling in general that through globalization and Europe, they are losing control, that things are decided behind their backs. And they also have the feeling that in Brussels, big business is deciding everything, no matter what we say, no matter what are the facts. It's like they feel excluded from the decision-making process.
You don't belong here. Exile!
And let's say we get the blame for that.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is also because people are, and I'm talking about the general public, are looking at lobbying from what they know from television and movies. Actually, most of them are from the US, and of course there you can finance somebody's election campaign. I think it's also, of course, exaggerated in movies, but I feel like in Europe it's not like that at all. If you want to give somebody a gift, they ask you if it's less than 50 euros or they will not accept it, they can't accept it. It's true, you have to be registered or you cannot get a meeting with somebody in the European Commission at cabinet level, for instance. And the democratic legitimacy, I think, is crucial. People, I think what they don't understand is what you just addressed as well, is that People in the parliament specifically are generalists. They're politicians. They know their own field of expertise, but they have to make decisions about many subjects. They if they want to be educated and make a decision, a well-educated decision, they're dependent on information they get from external experts, and those external experts are usually brought to the politicians by lobbyists. So it's not lobbyists asking for access or sort of forcing their way in. It is. It's basically a supply of. It's a supply and demand of information.
In fact, we are contributing to let's say closing this democratic gap, but it is up to the politicians to make Europe a bit more attractive and a bit more sexy, and to give another image, because
They have the time now.
Today's
elections.
we are not sexy, but we don't know it.
Right. Yeah, no, I think I agree with you. The thing is, we can't sell bogus information or lie or whatever, because our careers will be over. Brussels is very small, and if you start selling bogus stories, or you're not honest, or your figures are incorrect, the next time they don't want to see you. So it's self-regulatory, in fact.
The market will punish you.
Not good enough.
Not good enough!
Exactly. But what you said about politicians, I also find that very true. What I see, especially in the Netherlands, but I'm sure it's true for most countries, where politicians, ministers come to Brussels, they vote on behalf of their population in favor of a certain piece of legislation.
Yeah.
Motion is proposed. Those in favour make it known.
Behind closed
Then
doors often.
they go home and they say, look what Brussels did. Look what they did. And it's them that actually votes in favor of it. It's the member states making the decision, not the Commission, not the Parliament.
Don't.